Greetings, I'm Chappers.
And I'm the captain.
Where are we, Lee?
We're in the boiler room with this good-looking chap next to us here, the
Paul Pindmarsh.
39 and a half year old, 39 and three quarters. So he says. He's been 39 for the last 5 years. He's been telling me he's 39.
It's worse than that.
Anyway, if you have seen it already, congratulations. We did a fab video of the Line 6 Helix plugged into straight into our interface. So that demonstrates, how amazing all the amp modelers are and how it could be used as a studio tool or as a live tool if you like using the whole into the PA, FR type thing. This video, we're using a real guitar amplifier. We'll get some sweeps of this. We couldn't fit it all into the shot. So we've got a real guitar amplifier and Helix is our control center. So
we're using a Victory V30, or we call it the Countess, into the amazing Victory 212, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So how have you set this up for us, Paul?
Okay, so I mean, we've set this because there's so many ins and outs on here. We've got 4 different effects loops on there as well. So you wanted to have it so we had the 4 cable method.
Yeah.
So that we wanted to have a bunch of different effects in front of the amp. Yeah. And then a bunch of things like reverbs and delays, and we'll put them post the kind of the gain stages as well.
Yeah.
So we've got that all connected. We also wanted to use another one of the effects loops to actually put this plimsoll pedal in there as well. And then I've assigned each of those outputs to one of the pedals on here as well. So if we look on here, we'll see the signal path. The first thing it's hitting is the effects loop 2, which has got this activated.
Yeah.
And I've assigned that to this foot switch here. So that's going to switch in and out that plimsoll effect.
Yeah.
Now, because of the way this works, I can we use a thing called dynamic DSP, which allows us to have as many effects as up to 32 different effects, depending on what they are. So if they're really complex reverbs or pitch shifters, it won't maybe run all 32 of those effects.
Right.
So the way I've done this, we've got the 4 stereo sort of loops, sort of signal paths. So we're running right along this top chain here. It's then coming down into all of these effects, some of which I've assigned to foot switches as well. Then we're coming down into this path. This is the effects loop that has the Victory amp on it, and I've assigned that to that, and I can color code that foot switch as well. That's
and he's written Victory.
And I wrote Victory as well while you guys are outside having a nice cup of coffee. I was in here graphing. And as we move through here, I have some delays and some reverbs.
So physically,
well, for Americans, by the way, grafting is a Northern English term that means working very hard.
How physically big would this pedal board be if this was a real, like analog pedals? Would it be the size of a front door? Pretty much.
Maybe even bigger.
Maybe even larger.
Maybe
a garage
larger,
door.
Yeah.
So we're going.
Talking about, like,
it might create singularity purely with the inherited mass within.
It may do, yeah.
So okay. So and what I liked about this, so we're using it in almost like a manual mode. So imagine you just had all these pedals on a board and you could turn them off. Presumably there is a preset mode as well where you could have your channel changing and your effects loop, your external effects loop switched in and out just from a single button.
Absolutely, yes. For each time you change a preset, you can send up to 6 sort of instant messages per preset.
What? Text
so
messages?
You could,
Wow.
So you can press a button. I'll be home in half an hour. Put the dinner on.
It tweets, it Facebooks, it does all those things instantly on a patch change.
That's unbelievable.
So that's just as you change the patch. So yeah, so we've got this set up in a mode where we have the sort of the 10 different foot switches here with the names that we've assigned to them. You can also have this in a mode where it would have presets and it would have your banks down the bottom, and then you'd be able to switch in the effects and side by side.
The reason we plugged the plimsoll in was A, to demonstrate, really it was just to demonstrate the fact that you could have up to 4 different effects loops of any effect. So if you've got, I mean obviously Helix is going to have a clon effect in it, but if you've got a real clon and do you know what, the Helix does like 98% of the magic, but it doesn't give it the full 100%. Get your clon, loop it in, and then of course you can use your real clon instead. Clon.
And you can, on those effects as well, you can actually use those as the outputs as well. So those signal paths we were talking about before, you can assign different things to come out of those outputs. So it doesn't have to be an effects loop there. They're actually ins and outs as well.
Oh, I see.
So that's how you'd send 4 different preamp models off. I've got a patch in there where I've got a normal amp model running left and right just on the stereo, and then I have that reverb with the octave running out separately out of one of those sends just to go to the PA or whatever we want to do as well. So all kinds of interesting switching options there.
Well, look,
I don't understand.
No, I didn't understand any of that either.
Watch the video back. It'll
okay, well let's just get started then. So if we sort of say this is what our guitar amp sounds like with anything, have we just got some reverb on here or something? Because
do you want me to do what you're explaining, or?
Whatever you can do. Yeah, I mean it's fairly straightforward, just the way I've got it assigned there. So let's say this is the victory amp here sitting in the middle.
That little 2 arrows going either way.
So that's on that foot switch there. So we can hear, if I just play that.
So
all you really hear in there is just the effects running directly into the power stage.
effects.
And then we've assigned a channel change to that external switch and jack.
So I've pressed buttons now, which I should have done, and now my command center has gone like, hello!
Let's just go.
So this button did the channel change, and this button physically bypasses the amp almost, or the preamp stage of the amp altogether. Okay. So this is now on a clean sound, is it?
Add some reverb to that as well. So let's add that big octave verb. I can then add maybe the univibe onto there. I could add the Hue Screamer, and these are all so the amp. So if you want to switch that in, that's an effects loop there.
Yeah. I don't know if we've got the levels quite right on the plim, so just keep playing. This effects loop, is it?
Okay,
this one
yeah,
here.
so that's effects loop too.
I get it. And then if we want
to any of those foot switches there as well.
And if we just want to go this button here does the distortion channel on the amp, yeah?
Yeah. So let's go back home there as well.
That's the gain channel on the amplifier.
Yeah, so there's no, that was just when the tube screen was switched in there as well.
Yeah.
So you're switching the 2 channels on the amplifier?
Yeah, from
So
here.
we have the external switching jack there as well, so yeah.
And how many external switches are there?
You can do kind of 2 things in there. It'll switch your reverb and it'll switch
the V30 is pretty simple. All it can do is channel change. That's all you can do on there. But if you had an amp that had, say...
If it had reverb, it would do that as well, yeah.
If you put it in a dress, how does it look?
Yeah, pretty smart.
So the other great thing that I really like about this, we're just playing on with, is any of the effects that you assign to any of the patches can be on latching foot switches, or they can be on momentary foot switches. I've assigned the whammy pedal to this pedal. So anything's just momentary, so when you put your foot on that, that's going to...
Do you know what? I love the fact that I think there's a bit too much reverb on there, and without having to read the manual or ask Paul what to do, I know if I just touch this button. And if you haven't seen the first video, you're going, what voodoo wizardry is that? These buttons are all dual purpose, so you can physically switch them like a normal button, or you can, as long as you use a piece of your flesh, you can just touch it and it enters the correct sort of edit mode, if you like, for that effect. So you saw I wanted to just turn the reverb down a bit, so I just touched this button and then it loads up. It's very clever.
And you don't press save?
I don't know actually, presumably you must.
Yeah, you would just press save.
If you wanted to then save it, there's a save button.
Okay.
I'd say what's an even cooler way of doing things. If you wanted to edit something and whilst you were actually playing, so let's say this was actually on the floor. So could I just move that out of the way?
No.
Yeah. If I go into this mode here, hold this down, it then comes up with all the different effects here as well. So now I'm going to go over and I'm going to find my
mutant filter.
all those different effects that are in there, and I put so many in here. So we were changing that octave. So when I press that, it now spills out all the parameters for that effect. So if I want to change the mix like you did and press mix, and then I can change it with the expression.
Oh, so what you're basically saying is,
I turn that
a little bit.
It actually changes that. So I can edit the effects, any parameter of any effect
with your foot
whilst you're playing.
As long as your brain is capable of doing that, obviously.
Look, I hadn't noticed that before. That's really cool.
Yeah, I covered that up with the.
So that's
but I think people with OCD would get really annoyed because if you want like 58.3% or something,
that's okay because you can have the value buttons there. So if you want to be more accurate than that, you can do that as well.
What will they think of next?
But that's just such a great feature, obviously, for being in a live situation. You want a little bit more overdrive. You don't actually have to stop the song.
And this has actually been designed specifically to be able to get a little pedal underneath it. Okay, so Paul is just going to play some stuff now. What you're hearing is the gain channel from the Victory V30, plus then obviously Rob and I are just going to go through and press buttons and do stuff.
Mess him up.
As much as I think to sort of put him off pause. Some will sound cool, some may not, but why not? We're just going to have a little fiddle around. So take it away, Paul.
Okay, so let's switch that channel.
No, you want it on this.
Brilliant. If you don't mind, I'd like to offer myself as your humble pedalboard minion to just press this button up and down while you play.
Well, I mean, again, so that's a really, really kind of cool way. If anything, this is I've never really thought about products like Helix before as an alternative to just having a big board of pedals. But I suppose like this, it's pretty viable, isn't it? It's
and of course you can actually have the pedals.
Yeah, you can stick the other pedals in if you want to as well.
I think as you can see, there's a lot of pedals.
I know. I mean, we didn't go through even half of them there. So Do you know what I think would be kind of cool? I think it would be cool if Rob played a bit with a different guitar.
It's just sick, man. It's absolutely sick.
It's hard to think. I mean, there will absolutely be people who will, for whatever reason, not be in the right place at the moment to make the sort of the leap of faith from pedals to this type of technology, and that's kind of cool. But I do think, to myself, it's other than that sort of technophobia, that sort of irrational technophobia, there's not really a rational reason not to take a look at something like this, is there? Because it is a bit sort of like, it pretty much does do, work with an amplifier as a floorboard or as a straightforward into your desk for studio or sort of just live stuff where you don't want to use a guitar. It's pretty scary. I mean, I don't think enough really has been made about the fact that I think Line 6 could have pitched this price-wise as a direct Axe-Fx competitor if they wanted to.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
But they didn't. It's like half the price.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to change this block then to an EQ, so I go back this way, and I go EQ,
and then across again,
mono, simple EQ. Because I kind of thinking I might even go 10 band. I want to do that thing where you just give it that little mid hump just to sort of.
You want to give it the bump?
Yeah, press that in.
Do it. So let me.
It's all on the bottom.
Wow, that's sick.
It's doing alright, isn't it?
It really doesn't.
It's making me play a bit badly.
The next, maybe just very quickly mention is if you want to assign one of those parameters here in terms of that ease of control, if I want to assign that, if I hold that in, I can then learn controller, and anything I touch, it'll actually assign that parameter automatically to that.
It immediately goes, oh, that's your controller for that parameter.
So if you want to, that expression pedal is now.
Paul did say,
how quick is that?
Paul did say at the beginning of this video that there is a ton of deep level editing and control that you can do from this that kind of, should we go through in the video? And Rob and I both said, look, to be honest with you, I think at this stage, everybody's just interested in does it sound any good or not. So I think we've kind of focused in this video, or the two videos we've done, of just does it sound good or not? And I hope you'll all agree that it does sound phenomenal. I guess if you're one of these kind of players that is thinking, I really need to get the absolute max out of this and understand every edit functionality and control functionality possible, I'll put some links in the description below to where you could go and find that information. I'm sure Paul will do a few more videos for Line 6 about that. But I think it's safe to say that in terms of usability,
it's very intuitive.
If you're wondering, I wonder if it does it, It probably does.
Yeah, it's very, very intuitive, very easy to use. It looks great, feels great, and it sounds great.
On the floorboard that's going to come with the rack unit, by the way, we mentioned the rack unit in the first video.
Oh,
racks. The rack unit. So does the floor, are all of the ins and outs on the back of the floorboard, or are they on the back of the rack unit still? I should know, I've got the rack unit in my hand.
Yeah, it's all.
So the floor unit is really just a control unit, and all of the because I was thinking wouldn't it be a good idea to have like the effects send and returns on the. I suppose it doesn't really matter, does it, whether they're on the floor unit or on the rack? Because you're not actually turning those things on and off, are you? You're just leaving them on all the time and then controlling it from here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a very good question though. That's I haven't actually seen the floor.
Is there anything on the rack unit that isn't on the back of this?
Not as far as I'm aware. No, everything is the same.
There is a word clock.
Yeah, that's the only thing. As I said that, I spotted that.
So if you need a button that says Terminator on and off, something to do with a word clock, you'll need the rack one. If you've no idea what that is, which is me, then I guess the floorboard will do everything you need.
Oh man, that sounds really, really fun.
Just a little play. I'm just going to turn the gain down a little bit.
Do you want that Chinese cheap thing
yeah,
you've got there, or do you want to use
the thing that I've got over here?
Alright, you want this cable then?
With delay and reverb.
So I can now put my clon in front of a clean sound if I want. So, and if I want a bit more level on there, which I do need a little bit. I took all the gain off when Rob was playing on the tube screamer because we had so much gain on the amplifier. Tuner, digital tuner, that's for pussies. Yeah. Where's it? I'm going to avoid the distortion sounds and just so that had the shimmer on it, didn't it? Which was. It's just fun, isn't it? Because what I find sometimes with these sorts of things in the past is the joy of playing the guitar is sort of usurped by the sort of stress of having to work out what you've got to do here. Whereas I don't really feel like I'm doing anything other than just stomping on and off pedals. A vibe and a flanger on there. What else did we? Oh look, I could. Do you know what? This is the problem with these beers. I could just go on all day.
This
You're
monolith
completely
of a,
right.
Yeah.
You're completely right. Well, there we
monolith of a
are.
video.
That was part 2 of our Helix video. If you've missed part 1, go and watch that now, because that's where we do stuff without a guitar amplifier. But I kind of agree, really. Very, very, very happy to see Line 6 kind of do something that sits above Pod, because it's weird, isn't it? When you think, when Pod first came out, it was absolutely adopted by loads of pro studios everywhere. They were all using them. But over the last 4 or 5 years, they really have sort of, the pro guys have sort of, a few of the pro guys have sort of migrated away from Pod, haven't they? And now Pod is almost considered like a semi-pro product, isn't it?
Yeah.
And still great value and a killer
Absolutely,
product.
yeah.
But this definitely puts Line 6 back on the map big time with as a pro product. So I guess thank you very much to Paul for
Thanks, Paul.
No problem at all.
flying all the
Thank
way
you
down
for
from
having me.
Newcastle to sunny
Yep.
Guildford,
Yep.
spending the day here.
We got some sunshine.
Are you flying home tonight, or are you?
Tomorrow, I'm
Tomorrow.
going to stay down here with some friends.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh, he's got
All right.
friends. He's got other friends apart from us, Luke. Look at that.
You guys never invite us out, what can I say?
That's very true. All right. Anyway,
You're absolutely welcome to come out tonight to the Cinnamon Tree and have a nice evening meal if you want to. Bring your friends.
Okay. Well, they're in Southampton. So
Oh, okay.
okay. So, well, I've been the captain.
I've been Chappers.
And I've been Paul Himosh.
Well done.
Bye.
Bye. It's all British.